Here are stories that children whisper by moonlight. Stories too heavy for laughter, too dark for firelight. Stories carried not on paper, but in the trembling voices of elders who survived to remember. This is one such story. It happened in a small Nigerian village called Aketi, a village proud, thriving, and joyful. But on one night, the night their talking drum refused to beat, everything changed. And even today, if you travel near the old forest where Aketi once stood, you may hear it, the echo of a drum that should not play, and the voices of those who were taken. Aketi was a village unlike any other, nestled between the great forest of Okiorun and the flowing river Ose. It was a land of palm wine, yams, and laughter. At dawn, women sang as they fetched water. At noon, children played by the dusty roads, chasing each other with laughter as goats bleated lazily in the background. Hunters returned with antelope, traders sold kola nuts, and the air was always alive. But above all this, Aketi was known for its drum, the talking drum. The people call it iron, carved centuries ago from the heart of an iroko tree. Its skin stretched from the hide of a leopard slain by the village first warrior chief. They said the spirit of the forest lived inside it. Its voices were not mere sound. Hey, it carried meaning. It could summon rain. It could command warriors to victory. It could speak to the ancestors themselves. And the keeper of this power was Baba Okiki, the royal drummer, a tall, solemn man with arms hardened by years of beating sacred rhythms. His face carried line of wisdom, and his eyes always seemed to look beyond the living into some other world. From childhood, Baba Okiki was chosen, trained by the elders. He was taught not just rhythms, but secrets, how every beat was a language, every silence a prayer. The villagers trusted him for as long as his hand struck the drum during the festival of ancestors. No harm would befall Aketi. The covenant was old, older than memory. Are you noting? The drum must beat, and the forest would remain at peace. But peace is fragile, and in the year of this story, shadows began to stir. It began with whispers. Hunters swore they saw shadows moving without bodies. Women fetching water said the river spoke their names at dusk. At night, dogs barked at empty spaces, hair on their backs standing straight. Baba Okiki himself dreamed of the drum crying like a wounded animal. In his dream, he struck it, but instead of music, blood poured from its skin. He woke drenched in sweat, but told no one. Only Mama Ireti, the oldest elder, seemed to know something. She would mutter to herself at the market, the covenant, it must be kept. But when pressed, she stayed silent. The villagers, eager for the festival, paid no attention. They prepared palm wine, fattened goats, wove costumes for the masquerade, but the forest was watching. The night of the festival came. Torches lit the square, their flames licking the sky. The smell of roasted yam and palm wine filled the air. Masquerade painted in chalk and camwood danced wildly, their rattles shaking, their feet thundering against the heads. The chief, dressed in flowing white robes, sat proudly with the council of elders. The people clapped, sang, and cheered. At the center of his hall, Baba Okiki sat before the talking drum. The villagers hushed. Children craned their necks. Even the masquerade paused mid-step. Baba Okiki raised his hand and struck. There was silence. The crowd murmured. He struck again, harder this time. Nothing, not even a whisper of sound. A chill swept across the square. The torches flickered. Even the crickets fell silent. Then from the forest came a sound, a long hollow wail, like a child crying from inside the hearth. Fear spread like fire. Mothers clutched their children. The chief rose angrily. Beat it! He shouted. Beat the drum! Baba Okiki struck again and again, sweat pouring down his face, but the drum remained mute. And then the shrine at the edge of the square cracked. From within, an old mask fell to the ground, its painted eyes glowing red in the firelights. Mama Ireti stood, trembling. The gods are angry, she said. The covenant has been broken. Whispers spread. Covenant? What covenant? What had they forgotten? One by one, the torches went out. Darkness swallowed the square. Then they came, shadows, tall, twisted figures, their limbs too long, their faces without mouths. They glided from the forest, silent yet heavy, each step shaking their heads. The villagers screamed. They tried to run, but the shadows herded them like cattle. The ground split, swallowing the chief whole. The masquerade rattled their guards, but the spirits ripped their costumes away, revealing terrified boys beneath. Baba Okiki fell before the drum, tears streaming. Why do you refuse me? What have we done? And then the drum spoke, not in sound, but in voice. A deep, ancient voice filled the minds of all. You have forgotten. The covenant was made in blood. Every 7th year, a sacrifice must be given to the forest. This year, you gave nothing. You feasted, you danced, but you gave nothing back. Now we take what we hold. The shadows surged. Men and women were pulled into the night, their cries fading into the forests. Baba Okiki screamed, Take me, spare them! The drum answered, Too late, but you shall carry the burden. The shadows pressed into his body. His eyes turned black. His scream was not his own, and for the first time, the drum gave a sound, a thunderous beat that shook the heavens. When morning came, half the village was gone. Their huts stood empty, their fires cold. The survivors moved like ghosts. Women no longer sang at the river. Children no longer laughed in the fields. The talking drum remained in the square untouched. No one dared approach it. But some nights, when the moon was high and the wind passed through the forest, the people swore they heard it. A faint beat, carried by the breeze, and a voice, Baba Okiki's voice, crying, warning, forever bound to the drum. The village of Aketi never recovered. With time, the survivors fled. The forest grew, swallowing their homes, and the story became a whisper carried to other lands. So remember this tale. Beware the night the talking drum refuses to beat. Beware the silence of the forest when even the crickets hold their breath. For silence too is a sound the spirits hear. And when the covenant is broken, the forest will always come forth still. For more stories like this, please follow my channel and you will enjoy more intriguing stories. Thank you.